Hello, everyone. Welcome to Calls with Paul episode 35. 35 was a good year for me.
It was.
Yeah.
They're all good years. You know, I find the older I get, the better it is.
Well, good for you. I don't know.
You're doing great, honey. Like you really are.
Well, thank you for joining us. It's Wednesday, and that means it's time for Calls with Paul. We're so glad to have you tuning in today. And we're joined with a special guest. I'm going to bring her on screen. We've got Fran Valdez with Capital Title of Texas. Hey, Fran.
Good afternoon. Hi, how are y'all doing?
You're good. We figured that our audience hears from us a lot.
Yeah.
And, we have our own perspective on how the Austin real estate market is doing, but we wanted to share the perspective from the title company, because you don't just work with us or with Compass agents, you're working with agents across the state. And so you've got and the city. And so you've got a really good perspective on that impact. So I'm going to let you and Paul kind of take it from here and fill us in. You want to start with by telling us a little bit about how you're doing though? I mean, we always like to check in to see how everybody's doing on a personal level.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm great. We're all great. We're actually very, very busy trying to keep up with the changes and trying to be ahead of what's going to come next. Capital Title is great about putting wonderful resources around us so that we can kind of, be ahead of the game. So I'm very busy.
Yeah, I'd heard that some of the other title companies are laying people off, but you guys seem to be going the opposite direction. Can you expand on that?
Absolutely. Capital Title is based in Plano, so we're Texas based. When I started, we were the largest independent agency in Texas. We're now the largest independent agency in the United States, and we only do business in Texas, which tells you how big we are. So yep. All of our resources are here in Texas. So one of the things that Bill Shattuck, who owns Shattuck Companies and Capital Title, one of the things that he has done is to make sure that we all are still getting our hours. And one of the things he's done is every day we have lunch on him. As long as we keep it local, he's encouraging us to really, again, buy local. He wants us to promote those companies, and we have lunch on him every day.
That's really wonderful. I kind of thought Sarah was my closer. I thought she was pulling my leg.
No, it's company wide.
Real.
So that's fascinating. Does he want to buy us lunch? Because we'll go for it. We'll support the Austin economy on Bill Shattuck.
So you have, I bet from your perspective, you have a pretty good view like of Austin, San Antonio, Dallas, like all of Texas in general. How are we doing market wise? Is business change? What's the state of the Texas market?
Well, the interesting thing about the Texas market is we have always seen, and always being as long as I can remember, over 25 years, an 8 to 12% increase every year in growth. And we don't see that changing. We're number 2 in industry and commercial real estate in the nation, second only to California. And we don't see that changing. We see that continuing. I personally look at numbers every day all across the state, and I don't see a big change from last year. We are still growing. I'm so sorry. We're still growing, not exactly at a 12% increase, but we are still seeing growth.
That's amazing and really comforting to hear, like across the country, because we focus on Austin, and have that perspective, I think, is really helpful. So
yeah, you had talked about last week that the Mike Del Prete research had shown that Austin was starting to recover, and that we were starting to see an uptick in the number of new listings. Is that right?
Yeah, new listings in this week alone, and everybody I've talked to is like, hey, it's blasting off.
Well, and you put something on and it went under contract in just a few days. So that was great to see.
Thank goodness.
Yeah. So you're seeing it pick up here in Austin as well.
Yeah.
Do you have any specific insights, Fran, on the Austin real estate market and what that's looking like?
Well, we've been speaking to lenders specifically, and they're in an upturn. Again, they've seen things changing as of last Wednesday and Thursday, they're seeing an upturn. We had thought we would see a big up in refinances, but actually their biggest increase is new sales. So that's very encouraging to hear from a lender perspective that that's what they're seeing.
Yeah, I was expecting to hear that refinance is way up and purchases are a little bit down, but are you seeing it to be just
we're seeing the opposite.
Yeah.
We're seeing the opposite. So
Well,
that's wonderful. And they're maintaining rates, which is great as well. We saw a little bit of an upturn about 3 weeks ago, but it lasted about 2 days. And now we're back to where we were before in the threes, low.
That's really exciting. So closings, we've had a few going through COVID, and it's always kind of interesting about how people are doing it. The last one that we had was, I didn't go to it, but it was in an outdoor setting.
Yes.
Talk to me about closings, how those are occurring, what people going to closing or headed towards closing, what they can expect.
Well, we're seeing a lot of different things, and the option is really that decision is going to be whatever your buyer and your seller want to do. We are seeing a lot of notaries going into homes, and that's great because it's not stopping their momentum, right? You're packing away or whatever, and you just stop, sign, and then go back to it. You're not having to go anywhere. We're seeing remote online notaries, and they're doing those just like we're doing right now, and they're witnessing those. We did see when this first started, we were having a delay in being able to actually schedule those, but now we're keeping up. Everybody's keeping up. We have a lot more platforms for that now, a lot more people getting on board with that.
That's wonderful.
We're doing the outside closing, which is great because it is open air. We have great outside offices, so it's a nice thing to do. We are bringing in plexiglass as well, kind of like the grocery stores, and all of our offices by the beginning of next week, probably by Tuesday, every office will have plexiglass. Again, that's throughout the state, and that way we can continue to do those closings like that, and that will be one of the things that we will move forward doing.
Yeah. I mean, you got to interface with people, and you need to be safe, and so do they.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of wondering. Like, how much of these things do you think are going to stick around, Fran? Like, what do you think is going to remain even after we see a vaccine or a relatively effective medical treatment? What's the holdover going to be?
I think that we're going to see online, the remote online notary. We've been doing them for about 1.5 years. We've partnered with people that are doing them. I think we're going to see an increase of those. I think we're going to again see extra measures inside the offices like plexiglass and gloves and and masks and things like that continue. I also think we're going to see online classes continue, which is one of the great things, sadly to say, the great things to come out of all of this is we have found an opportunity to reach more people with our classes and be able to do things a little bit more mainstream. So the things that we're offering in San Antonio, we're now offering in the Valley and in Dallas and in Houston. So our reach is further. So everybody doesn't have to wait until a certain class or a certain person comes to their town. We're able to do that. And we spoke with Trek when this all started and got a whole bunch of stuff. They told us what their criteria was, and we matched that criteria, and we were able to move forward. I do believe that on some level that will continue. I don't know if for sure Trek will continue the same rules as far as being able to approve a lot of these classes moving forward, but I do know that as a company, we will continue to do the online classes.
Yeah.
Are you still giving out all the pins?
We actually are giving out some kind of pen, but we one of the things that we're doing is also we're still doing what they're calling drive-through closings. So you will, if you are a buyer or a seller, you will receive the paperwork. You can look over everything on through your email, and then you drive up to the office. Someone comes out, hands you a package and a disposable pen, and just go through and sign everything. And the person that brought you that will witness, make sure that you're signing everything, and then take it back upstairs and get it done. So that's where the pens are coming into place. How about that?
Drive-through closings. That's really pretty cool.
Well, our supply of title company pens has dwindled through. The kids are
Yeah.
rough on pens and pencils, so we may need to go in and get a refill.
Yeah, I work at my desk and I look around. I'm like, I don't have anything to write with.
Yeah, the kids
Like
are
over
good
and
at
over
running
again.
off with the pens and the pencils.
That's what that is.
The kids and the dog. The dog has been eating a lot of the
Yeah.
pencils.
Yeah.
She's on a death mission.
Well, I'll put you on that pen list.
All right, good to hear. Good to hear.
So like on the run and all that kind of stuff, what I understood was that the obstacle to doing it really remotely was lender requirements for wet ink.
Yes.
Or do you see lenders changing that so that we can become like fully digitized and just, closed by Zoom?
I think some lenders, yes, and some lenders be a little slower to the game.
Yeah.
One of the things about the remote online closings is they have to be recorded and they have to be saved for 7 years, which is why, yes, that's kind of
Wow. Yeah.
and that's not easy for everyone. And again, we have a lot of platforms that we go to for that. So that is something that a lot of people are hesitant on. One of the things that Capital is doing, which is pretty great, is we're now doing like DocuSign when it's a cash deal. So we're able to do that to where we're not going to have a normal notarization. We're able to do that. Again, like this platform, we're using Zoom, we're using GoToMeeting, we're using Skype. And that way we're watching those things happen through DocuSign. So that's a wonderful thing. And that is on most cash deals. There are exceptions to that, but most cash deals.
Yeah. Well, cash is easy as long as the guy with cash is happy.
Absolutely. That makes all of us happy, right?
People who have the money, they make the rules, right?
Every time. A couple of the other things that we're doing is in the contract, the seller is when the seller is using a T47 in an existing survey, because there's a certain amount of time that is described in the contract, we are accepting, this is Capital, we are accepting T47s without notarization, knowing that at closing, they will be notarized. And we're doing, you're still staying in that time frame. And so that we can get it to our survey review board so that they can go ahead and say, yes, we will accept this, and go ahead and make the changes to Schedule B that have to be made. So that's a positive. And that was a great thing that Capital had decided that we would be on board with.
Are closings taking any longer, or it sounds like you're actually streamlining some things and they may be going a little faster?
Some efficiencies coming out of all this.
We're seeing some delays in homeowner associations because they are not considered essential. So a lot of those people are working from home and do not have access to the same things that they would have if they were in an office. So we are seeing some delays on that. At the beginning, we were seeing some delays in payoffs as well. That's a little bit, that's become a little more streamlined. However, in a perfect world, it would be great if when the contract came in, we had that information to go ahead and order the payoffs, because we were seeing payoffs take as long as 24 days.
Yeah. Yeah. And I imagine you're seeing some slowdown on the people involved, right? Like the buyer and the seller have lives and kids are running around and like.
Absolutely. And lenders are needing to verify employment. And that has, again, at the beginning, that was a huge delay. Again, it's become a little bit more streamlined, but everybody does need to remember that they are checking that employment and they're still doing it 3 to 4 days before, but it's taking a little bit longer to get responses back.
Yeah, if I'm lending you money, I want to know that you have a job and you can pay me back.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
So as we go more digital, you know, for a long time, we've been concerned about wire fraud because it destroys lives, and it's a really serious matter. As we go more digital, are you seeing any more increase in wire fraud? Is there new tricks and stuff that, really?
Yes, we are. We are seeing about 2 weeks ago, not last week, but the week before, we saw quite a few attempts. So one of the things that we are asking everyone is during closing, there is an affidavit, and there's also, and everybody just kind of streams through that pretty quick. And there's also wiring information. And a lot of times we will just get a signature and that's it. There are actually check marks and blanks that need to be filled out, and we're paying very close attention to that. The other thing is that if there is a change, we are picking up the phone, and we would ask that all buyers and sellers are doing the same. Please pick up the phone, verify that with us, because number one, we are not changing our bank accounts like that. We're just not, especially right now. And we have seen in the past people that have hacked in and into emails and either, you know, went to the buyer and said, exactly, by the way, buyer, we've changed our stuff, or hacked in to us and said, hey, by the way, seller information has changed, or seller payoff has changed.
Yeah. Not anybody listening and paying attention to this, I will never ever send you an email asking for any wire information. Like the agents just don't do that.
Yep.
Be careful. Pick up the phone.
We send things that way. They're always secure. I know we went through a time where our stuff was so secure that a lot of people were not happy. However, we didn't see issues during those times.
Yeah, I may have been one of those guys.
Well, I
saw another place to log in.
I know, and sometimes it's just for a simple yes or no question, but in the whole stream of it, it's best. And we're not hunkered down that much right now, but the communication is very important.
Yeah.
Have we talked about, I mean, I'm curious with the jumbo loans and stuff, we had heard from some of our colleagues in California that jumbos were having a harder time, one, getting the funding from lenders, and just that market was sluggish. Do you see any differences in price points, Fran, in terms of what's moving or what's not moving? I didn't mean to take you off track.
No. That's exactly like the mix of business. Is it all conventional and less jumbo? What are you seeing?
We're seeing business as usual as far as types like that. What we're seeing is some of the incentives and things like that lenders are able to give are not being done right now. But as far as types of loans and talking about different price points, we have not really seen a change in that right now. I don't know what the data will tell us after, but what we're seeing has not really changed.
Well, that's excellent news to hear.
Do you get a sense that this is all business that was sort of in the works before the sheltering in place began? Or do you get the sense that these are people that have come out to buy and sell and are basically new business, if you will? Do you have an idea of that?
I think that the trend that we're seeing is normal for this time of year. So it's a mix, just like normal. I do think that some people, specifically sellers, are living in their homes, have been more hesitant, and across the board we've seen a lot of listings be put on hold. We haven't seen, again, at the beginning we saw some fallout, we saw some deals fall through, but not an excessive amount. I think that people are being more cautious. I had a big question at the beginning of this week that I put out to some agents, which was, do you see more homes being shown that are vacant opposed to the other, to occupied homes? And all these floods of answers back was, no, it's the same. They really haven't seen a huge difference in what is being shown and who is looking. So that's.
Well, it's an interesting deal. Sellers don't really like buyers coming through their house, even in the best of circumstances. And when you take into account that you may have some germs floating around that are bad for you, that's
Absolutely
a scary thing. Like we're working on solutions to get sellers out and get their purchase done first, and
we have seen an increase of video marketing, which is wonderful because we've been looking for that increase. We've been encouraging people to use more videos like y'all do. We've been wanting to do that. We have seen a lot of virtual open houses and people taking specific time. Like you can come, we'll show you the house from 1 to 1:30 and there is a dialogue there. So we've seen an increase of those things. We've seen an increase of YouTube users that have to do with agents.
Right.
Their stuff, advertising like that. So we have seen an increase in that. But as far as specific listings and fallout, nothing significant like we had expected. And most of that came in the first 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, we should, if we follow the same path as other markets, we should see a 20% increase in listings. I can tell you that there's, like, right now we have 85 off-market listings at Compass, Austin.
Wow.
And I imagine that there are even more behind that aren't logged into our system.
Mm-hmm.
And then you extrapolate that around town. There's a huge hidden market right now. So get ready when it unleashes, it'll be ferocious.
Well, we're ready. And back to what we had talked about at the beginning about layoffs and different things like that. Since we have been full staff the whole time, we have still been very busy. So we're ready for that upturn as well. We're ready for a normal summer. So
we'll be seeing you at the closing table or at the Ron or at the drive-through. Sometime very soon. Thank you so much, Fran. We really
thank you for having me. Thank you
coming on, and what a pleasure to meet you and to get to know you, and we'll be in touch.
Yes, if you guys liked this video, please give us a thumbs up because that increases the likelihood that other people will see it. If you've got any questions for Fran or for Paul, you can drop them below and we will reach out, or you can send a direct message. And next week we have a special episode I want to kind of preview that we're going to be visiting with a couple of architects about the changes that you can expect in home design going forward. I know as people have lived at home more than we ever have, the preferences and the things that people want to see are certainly beginning to change and evolve. And so we'll be bringing those architects on with us next week to share that. So tune in next Wednesday. And Fran, again, thank you very much. All the best.
Thank you.
Oh, of course. Guest star appearance. He was waiting. But thank you to you and to Cindy and to Sarah and all the other wonderful folks over at Capital Title. We're always grateful to have your support and to count you as one of our valued partners. So thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.